Mark 6, verse 30 through 44. The apostle gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. By this time it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. "This is a remote place," he said, "and it's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." But he answered, "You give them something to eat." They said to him, "That would take more than half a year's wages. Are we going to spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat?" "How many loaves do you have?" he asked. "Go and see." When they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then Jesus directed them to have all the people sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. "Take the 5 loaves and 2 fish," and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. And then he gave them to his disciples to distribute to the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish. The number of the men who had eaten was 5,000. So, I really like these special moments that Jesus has with his disciples. He notices that they're just worn out and tired, and his disciples are really special to him. So in 31 he says, "Come with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest." Jesus knows all the best spots, the best quiet spots, and he'll tell you where to go to when it's chaotic, man. You're just worn out, and he'll bring you to those quiet places. But those quiet places don't really mean anything unless you work hard and get worn out. Unless you get to that place of exhaustion, it's just it doesn't. It's not as special, I guess. It doesn't mean as much, So, just part of following his lead, seeing how hard Jesus works, and that's just by faith. It's not him working hard. It's not by works that you're saved. It's by faith. And Jesus worked hard though, because Jesus had faith that he said, he doesn't do anything on his own. He only does what he sees the Father do. He only says what he hears the Father say, which is interesting. Jesus, God, Jesus, he can't do anything without the Father. So how much more us? And anything we do on our own is just worthless. Basically, it's just like you're a fake clown. You can't do anything real without him. You can't. What's that, Psalm 112? 118 something. The watchman stays awake in vain unless the Lord watches over the city. The city is built in vain unless the Lord builds it, basically. And you can't even do those basic things unless it's guided by him. Anyways, that was for sure a rabbit trail. But I like that. I like those special moments, kind of going to the upper room in John 16 and on the next couple chapters. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the Bible, because it's just such a intimate spot. Judas didn't even get to experience that. He sent Judas away before that because Judas didn't deserve to take part in that intimate setting. But they tried getting away in a solitary place. But many saw them leave, and they couldn't get away because Jesus is I can't call him a superstar. That's cheap. That doesn't feel right. Anyways, people recognized him, went ahead, and they couldn't get some rest. But when Jesus was ready to sleep. Jesus was ready for that quiet place and get some rest. But once he saw the large people, he had compassion. They were they were sheep without a shepherd, and that compassion, like I said on the side of my Bible here, compassion energized him. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but if you experience it, like, that's 100% the Holy Spirit working in you. That's not. There's nothing good in us, so anything good like that, where it just kind of bubbles out of you, you can count on it being from Him. By this time, it was late in the day, so the disciples were thinking human reason, human logic, leaning on their own minds. Like why wouldn't you? I don't know why you wouldn't. It makes sense. It's a good plan. Hey, send them home so they don't faint from exhaustion, starve. But Jesus tested them. He said, "You give them something to eat." Jesus obviously knew a little more than he was letting on. He knew what was going to happen. But he tests us by asking these questions. He always asks these questions like we know the answer. Well, maybe not that one. I don't know what I would have said if Jesus said, "You give them something to eat." I would be like, okay, just grab a Cliff Bar and chuck it out the crowd. Like, all right, that's all I had. I don't understand why really Jesus said that, but what they did have, they gave to Jesus 5 loaves and 2 fish, and with that little bit, Jesus provided. So, sometimes God will back us into corners in life. He'll just back us into corners where we have to depend on Him, and we have to have faith and give that last little bit that we have, that we're clinging on to, and just kind of give it up to Him. And once you get to that point and give it, He'll do something miraculous. He remembers that and He values that, because there's nothing too hard for Him. He's the God of all human flesh. Nothing is too hard for Him. You can count on His promises. He will provide. He will take care of you, which is what He did here to these 5,000 men and women and children. And not only will He provide, He'll satisfy you, and He'll give you leftovers too. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples got the leftovers. So it's a cool story. You could write a whole book on it, I'm sure. This is just kind of, whenever I just read it and kind of go off with the top of my head. I don't really do much research, but yeah, God definitely He does provide, even when He seems like He doesn't. There's a reason. Everything He does is to help you. It's for your good. It's for the good of those who love Him. Even Mary and Martha letting Lazarus die, even that was for their good. They thought Jesus let them down. But they still had faith even after that, and Jesus stepped up and He didn't let them down. He showed them that He can do anything, and it goes totally against our nature to believe that. It just goes against, we refuse to believe that He'll do these things for us. That He'll provide for all of our needs. Your deepest desires or whatever, He'll take care of that. But He will.